Welcome back to Prezco. I'm Business Prez, and I'm going to show you part 2 of the daily trend, where we introduce the indicators. Whoop. That's a bit better. Still getting the hang of it. Calm your farm. Here we go. So going back to the Bitcoin chart we were charting up yesterday. And I'm going to go to this little tab here. It says indicators, and I'm going to bring up the RSI, or that stands for Relative Strength Index. If you want to know a bit more, Google it. It's on the site and all that. Pretty much brings up an oscillator. What this oscillator shows me is momentum. Is the momentum with the bulls or the bears? That's what I want to know. So, first of all, let's go and study the previous bull run. Because like I said, to get where we are today, a lot needed to happen. If we can understand history, it doesn't always repeat, but it rhymes, as they say. The first thing I can see here is that we spent some time above the purple zone in the white zone. And that's when price is going up. And then we come over here, it's under the purple zone and price is going down. That should be a pretty big indicator on what to expect, right? Of course. So, what else can we find? I want to point out that this is great at calling tops and bottoms and allows you to ride the swing or the trend between the two. Now, as you can see here, we bottom out, we run up on the RSI. We can even follow that with the trend line. And that's hump number 1. As we go through the consolidation, we're pretty much sideways right until the very end there. So we break down, we consolidate sideways, and then we fall hard. And we can see that on the RSI. Pretty much when we go below this area, which is about the 40 and the 50 area, if we go below that, we're taking a ride downtown. But what happened straight away is it spiked back up, and it spiked into the positive territory. Okay, and then what happened? It failed to make a higher high, and price pushed up pretty much to the same level, and then we fell down for the second time. And then what happened after that? We ran up again. So we can see that we can follow trends very much the same as price on the RSI. You know, whatever way you want to look at it, trend lines are there to be interpreted. They're not always like guaranteed. Like, oh, the trend line is broken, you know, get fully out. You know, it's more of an indicator. You combine everything to make a big picture. That way you can make up your mind. So as we can see, the pullback here, it didn't pull back very hard. It pulled back into the middle of that purple zone. And then we went and made an even higher high. Now this is where it gets interesting. Okay, we've really come up high into this zone. There, we've done it back here. It doesn't look like a lot, but if we come back here, yeah, it looks like a lot now. You know what I mean? We've gone from these areas, all right, to the top, these areas, and we've had 100% swing. You know, this is when Bitcoin was still 1500 AUD. You know, yeah, and then this massive pullback, but you know, from the tops, come down about 30-40%. So this is when Bitcoin was really volatile, when it didn't have the huge market cap that it has now with billions and billions of dollars. You know, so this is what we can see from some of the altcoins. You know, they've got millions, sometimes billions of dollars worth of market cap, but they move like this. That little pump there is 40%. This big run up we've seen here is 200%, bit of a pullback. And then we've got another pump of over 100%, and they're on the small ones. And this whole run up all the way to the top. You know, from these lows you could be buying at any time for a long-term hodl. All the way up 10x, 13, 14, 15 times return of investment. So if you had $100, 15 times. But then we're reading the RSI. We can see we pulled back to this key middle area here. We pumped up again. But what happened? What happened after that? Okay, we can see that price never really come back into this white zone anymore. If anything, it stayed in the lower regions of the purple zone. Alright, touching up there once, you know. So that's why I really pay attention to this, because when we're in the white area, we're making huge moves. What happens at the top here? Okay, I want to really point this out because this is vital. Let's get rid of that altogether. Just move that up for now. Okay, so we can see is when we run up on the RSI, it's pretty much from the bottom here. We'll run up on the RSI, we'll hover around the band there, and then we pump through it. Okay, we've got a higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then it breaks down. And we can see that in that massive wick there. That's a massive wick. So from the top there, it's come down 40%, nearly. In what, the space of 3 days? 1, 2, 3 days? And then what? Wicks up. There's so many buyers going long on this thing that it goes up again another 60%. Like, that's crazy. Alright? But what happens here now? On the price, you can see barely push higher. And on the RSI, we've come down and we've like making that M pattern. If you watched yesterday's video, we're making that M pattern again, hey? So like, we're not making a high high on the RSI either. And look where that lines up. Right with the top. You know, so you got your high point in the RSI, and then a lower high point in the RSI, but the price has gone higher. That's called a divergence. And this is what I mean about calling tops and bottoms. We can get a divergence between price and momentum. It tells you something's about to change, both at the top and the bottom. That way you can know, all right, the trend is reversing. Bearish trend reverses from divergence, we can buy. We can hold it all the way up until we see this kind of momentum run out and get a bearish divergence. And then look at it. It just goes massive. Like, it makes another low. Like this first little bit doesn't really hold up. It makes another low, barely pushes up higher, and then absolutely destroys itself. So what about this? This is still a huge part of the top. Look where we are on the RSI now. The RSI, we can draw a trend line that goes down. And if you're still holding on at this point here, and the RSI is telling you this, it's telling you to make moves. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, these swings are huge, but if you're holding from like a year or two ago, you've probably missed this whole lot. And it's just like, when do I sell? When do I sell? You know, like, do we keep going up? You know, like, you just don't know when you're in price discovery how high you can go. I showed you yesterday, you can pretty much draw a fib extension, or you can draw like pattern extension, or where the trend's going to take you. No one really knows. It's all just educated guessing. But we can see it when it happens. Yeah, sweet. So that was the previous run. Showed us the top, and then we're in the band, and we get tighter and tighter and tighter towards the middle of the band. Tighter and tighter and tighter. We're making a pattern. You see? and the pattern matches up very well. Price structure. So there's no divergence there. The price breaks, RSI breaks down like here, and you can see that's like maybe a day before price does. So this is why the 4-hour chart's so handy to see hand in hand with the daily, because you probably see that unfold a little bit quicker. You'll be able to anticipate a big move like this happening before it actually happens, because that was a huge dump, you know. So you just save 50% of your entire portfolio, not even worried about what's up here. If you've got anything left, you still want to save 50% of your portfolio, because what happens next? We can see what happens next. This is the bottom on the RSI, and then it levels off, and then it shoots up. As this is happening on the RSI, the trend is still down. And what's this? It's a falling wedge or a falling channel. Bullish pattern. We seen that yesterday. Price broke up pretty much to the target. The target of the pattern. If you want to know more, go and look up your patterns. So we hit that, we found resistance there, and then we broke down. But what happened? We didn't make a lower low. What happened on the RSI? It's chilling up here in the middle, and it just broke out. So even if we're still waiting, we get to see that there is a huge divergence going on the RSI, and it's taking us into the positive territory and trending upwards all the way to here. So if we just take that trade on the RSI alone, alright, let's just say we see the bottom, we see it come back to the neutral zone, we see it create a higher low, and then start trending up. Alright, so we've seen the trend change, and that's confirmed by about here. And then we go into the positive territory. So let's just say we get in here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then we go into the positive territory. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, how much do you want, you know? It goes a fair way up. And then here's our first warning sign. We've made lower highs on the RSI, and we've broken our trend line, and we've come to the 50. So even if we wanted to go from here back in here on the RSI, so somewhere here, to the break of that trend line, it's a double your money move. You know what I mean? That's a double your money move. And then we see this little bit, and they break down to the middle, so that's kind of like support. And as you can see, we made a supporting pattern, a W. And say we wait till the breakout of the W, RSI is pretty much in positive territory by now. You know, anything over 50 on the RSI, and I'll draw that out for you later. Anything over 50 on the RSI, look, it leads into a massive pump. And then you're not holding on too long. Why? Because we've made the high, and if we extend this out, then it's acting like resistance. Okay, this whole level is a resistance level here at the 80, 85. So as soon as the momentum goes there and comes back, what do you think price is going to do? So we could have taken that trade for 50%, and then this is our next high. It's not a higher high. And what's the high after that is this one. And what happens in between is a fairly decent dump. What happens in between is a fairly decent dump, you know, 20-odd%, and then we make what looks like another W pattern, and then we just range off in between then. And as you can see on the RSI, momentum shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. Squeezes and squeezes and squeezes. Okay, anything below this kind of band is a serious drop-off, as we can see. This is in a day, and it runs out after 2 or 3 days, but that's a 16 to 20% correction that hasn't even bottomed out yet. You know what I mean? And look, we're going bottom, bottom, bottoms. So the ability to read the RSI hand in hand with price action is very, very important. That's why I call it an indicator. The RSI is a leading indicator because it measures momentum and it points you in the direction of what's likely to happen next. It's very handy. Very, very handy. So that was the previous bull run, right? Cool. Let's go to this bull run. Okay. What happened this time? Well, let's just measure the top. Okay. Let's just measure the top. Let's get rid of the volume for a second. That's a bit better. Okay. So we had this massive parabolic run up. And why? Momentum was in the positive territory. And where was it pulling back to? The middle, right? So why is that important? It is. So let's mark it off at midline. And that makes it a lot easier to see. We've got all this bullish momentum, price is going up, going up, going up. As soon as it pulls back, yeah, we go back a little bit, but it's just a pullback to support. You know, we can make the argument that there's a trend line here. No, it's a bit hard to see because it's so small at the moment, but there's a trend line there, so we pull back to the trend line. We pull back to the 50, and then we go into bullish momentum again. Bullish momentum takes us up higher. All right? So then what's happening here? We're going lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, but we're holding support, right? Exactly. So we're still in positive momentum. But remember in the video I was saying yesterday that these moves are getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Why? Because momentum is less and less and less and less. And then what happens here? Right at the top, we break the 50 for like the first time. All right, we broke it here, but we made a double bottom. We made a W pattern that pushed us back up. We didn't really do that. It's kind of a head and shoulders. It's a double bottom, you know. We bounced up. We bounced up, we bounced up. What happened this time? We did not bounce up. We crashed all the way through the 50. And that big swing from there to there was a huge swing, but only like 25%, 20%. So it wasn't too much to worry about, right? Because we were always going to bounce. But what happened here was when we bounced from like bearish territory is we come to the midline. And what do? We made that top pattern, the M pattern. Right, yep. We made that M pattern. M, and broke the neckline. All that looks exactly the same here. M, and we broke the neckline. And look, we didn't just break the neckline, we went diving hard into the negative territory. And we spent months there. And as you see, RSI here was climbing up. Great. But it's still below that 50 line, so it's still got like a negative momentum attached to it. Even if it's coming up to support, the support line is bearish and it's pushing us down. So we hit the 50, we couldn't really break through it, we had to come back. We bounced here, we double bottomed here, and then in this accumulation zone, this wick-off accumulation zone, like we seen the spring launched us into the next impulse. And we can tell this is an impulse because it's a really big move and the pullbacks are small. So as long as the pullbacks don't go and make a bigger low, if it makes a higher low, it makes a lower low, then this is not the impulse. But I mean, that's pretty impulsive. It doesn't make sense. Like this is slow and choppy and takes a long time, and then that's boom, fast. That's why it's the impulse. You know, we had a fast impulse here and a bit of slow, choppy, fast impulse. Bang. that's bear move over, you know. And then slow and choppy bores everyone out the market, and the next minute, bang, we're up again, you know. And what could we see? All right, we could see we wanted to break above the 50. We just needed another test of support. We got it, and as soon as we broke the 50 on the RSI, we just kept going. And as you see, a little pullback, and then we're going like sideways here. We're going in an uptrend. So as long as you see that the RSI indicator is in bullish or bearish territory, then you know the momentum that you have. Now what I like to do is I like to make this band even smaller so I can see a bit better what's going on. Because the 60 and the 40 here, they often act as like their own little support and resistance areas. Right? We can see here when we come down to find support, make a move to break the 50, we did it from the 40. Right? Also other times when we come up to the 50, we might break it to the 60, but we form a double top pattern and we bust through the 50 anyway. So it's like a pendulum, you know. We got the middle point, which way does it want to push us, up or down? That's the way I see it. Okay? And what confirms that for me is the MACD. Moving average convergence divergence. As you can see, it's very similar to the RSI. We see us losing momentum. We break down into negative territory below the zero there. Retest. Support broke, now we're retesting it as a resistance, and then bang. And then bang, we just dropped. And then there, it was kind of like, all right, we're probably done now. We're done. Which is why we're making these lows here, and I'm like, oh, we're not bearish anymore. We're more neutral, if anything. And then once the MACD crossed up, above the zero, above the neutral line, we can see that we indeed had bullish momentum and price went up. You see that? We even followed the RSI. So in the RSI, we had divergence too. Price was making higher highs, but RSI was making lower highs. And you can even extend that through all the way. And that's even more confirmation that this trend is over and we're breaking out of resistance. So we got one confirmation on the RSI, we got two confirmations on the MACD, plus we got a breakout of our pattern from a heavily supported area. We've got a lot of signals now that's telling me maybe I should put my money back in the market. Which I didn't take any out really, so I mean I knew it was the time to buy, and you buy blood on the streets even if it's your own. Alright, what do we buy? We buy fear, we buy bottoms. What do we sell? We sell greed, euphoria and tops, and that's how we make money psychologically. So as you can see on the MACD, we're kind of topping out now. We're just chilling, but it's in bullish territory. If we were underneath the zero, I'd be a little bit more worried. Same with the RSI, but we do need to watch just in case it comes all the way down. We could see a bit of a sharper pullback, and the way it's looking like it wants to. It's not too sure because it's not really making a divergence. It's kind of squeezing in its own pattern. It's kind of bull flagging there, you could say. So yeah, if we see RSI take off, well look, we're probably going to smash through this resistance, man. Because if it takes off and it breaks out of that high, look at the kind of momentum we have and look at the kind of price that follows that. You're starting to see what I'm saying? Third indicator I'm going to use, and it is the final one, because there's a couple of them, but really I just like to use three indicators, and that's a moving average. Now this moving average is the 50. It is the 50. Oh, trading view. Sorry, that just popped up because I clicked on the side of my chart. But I do have, it's not taking forever to load. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. What happened? Oh no, oh no. Don't do this, don't do this. Alright, guys, we're gonna have to pause, sort this out, and then resume. Alright, bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. Can't pause it. Can I? If I stop that, then it's gonna make this a 2-part video. Not responding. Alright, we're gonna do this on the fly. We're gonna do this on the fly.